When I was a little kid, I used to imagine I had superpowers, but not like flying or super strength or x ray vision. No, that wasn't the superpower that I had. Here was mine. When I'd be riding in the back seat of the car after our family had like gone out to a special night out at dinner at Old Country Buffet or something like that. I remember I'd be sitting in the back seat of the car, and my mom and dad would be in the front, and they'd be driving, and I'd be sitting there, and I'd be sort of leaning against the window and looking out the window. And as we would drive back into my small hometown at night, I'd look up at the street lights, and for some reason, this is what I thought my superpower was. I would lean against the window, I'd look up at the street lights, and I would like squint my eyes real tight so that the lights would become blurry in my field of vision. And I imagined that anytime I did that, I could will to happen anything that I thought at that moment. That's what I thought my superpower was. I kind of wish I had that superpower right now. I kind of wish I could go out to dinner tonight and on my drive home, I could look up at the street lights and with the strength of my will, I could make this all go back to normal. I kind of wish I could squint my eyes and I could make it true that you would have a normal spring as college students and volunteers and professionals. I wish I could squint my eyes and will to make happen that you would have a normal season of formals and a normal season of probate shows and a normal graduation and a normal final meeting for your seniors and a normal, I don't know, everything. Another part of me wishes I could squint my eyes and I could use my superpowers to help you have a normal fall this upcoming semester too, but I can't. And you probably won't. Everything's changing right now, and we have to be ready. Everything is changing right now, and we have to be ready. Everything is changing right now, and we have to change too. And here you are. You're the ones who keep showing up. You're the ones who raise your hand. You're the ones who understand that leadership means showing up, especially in times like this. Leadership means showing up with clarity of purpose and clear communication and a plan for long term success. You're the ones who understand that panic doesn't help, but strategy does. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're joining this Fired Up Fridays session. For those of you watching this as a recording, you're not going to be able to see all the chat going on the side, but those of you who are here live right now, you are welcome to ask questions. You are welcome to engage in the chat feature over on the side of your screen there. Just play along, be a part. Let's talk while we're doing this. I can't wait to dive into this with you. Everybody do me a favor. I want you to directly at your computer, I want you to yell the words "Go Greek." All right? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go Greek. Good. No, do it louder this time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That's good. That's good. Now, this time, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go over to the window, the closest window in your house, and I want you to open up that window, and I want you to shout as loud as you can out into your strangely quarantined neighborhood where there are people walking by like zombies and afraid to be close to each other, afraid to look at each other anymore, and they're just looking for toilet paper. I want you to scream out the window, "Go Greek," and see if it works. And of course it won't. And of course it doesn't when we scream the same thing and when we're back on campus, when we shout as loud as we can, trying to get people to notice us. Go Greek, we say. Now, before I go any further, let me say this. The words "Go Greek" aren't necessarily bad. If your actual marketing strategy at your campus has something to do with the words "Go Greek," don't worry. It's all right. I'm not mad at you. I just think that becomes this metaphor for the way that our industry has done marketing and storytelling for a long time. And I don't think it works. I don't think it has worked. And I definitely don't think it's going to work as we go into another semester full of lots of new uncertainties. Thanks again for being with me here today. I should probably introduce myself. My name is Matt Mattson. I'm the president and co-founder of a company called Fired Up Productions. I love this work. I love fraternity. I love sorority. We've been doing this for a long time. My fraternity brother and I started this company about 17 years ago. His name is Josh. He's here. He's watching in. What's up, Josh? And what's up to all the rest of the Fired Up family members who are watching and are participating in the chat? If you got questions, you can just ask them. You got an entire an entire group of growth experts for fraternity and sorority right here in the chat feature if you're watching live. Thanks for being with me. Let's dive in. I want to talk about marketing, and I want to talk about marketing principles. I want to share with you some of my favorite stuff to share, which is non-Greek market research that we've done over the last several years. And I want to talk especially about some of the ways that we have to change the way we do marketing as we enter this semester, given coronavirus, COVID-19, and all the strangeness that is surrounding us right now. The first rule of marketing is know your audience. I've said before that I studied advertising and public relations in college, and the first time we'd walk into any class before the professor handed out a syllabus or whatever, they'd just yell at us, "Know your audience," they'd yell as loud as they could to startle us, but to also help us maybe be the few marketers who remember when we go out into the professional world that the most important thing we have to do as marketers, as public relations professionals, and as advertisers is to remember our audience and put our audience at the middle of our strategy. But instead, what do? Most marketers, most public relations people, most advertisers, most fraternity and sorority members, we design things that we like. We make recruitment videos or promotional videos for our organizations because they make us feel good about ourselves. If you look at the Instagram stories, or you look at the Instagram feeds of some of the chapters on your campus and you critically analyze them for a moment, you'll realize that so much of what we post, what we share, what we say about ourselves is for our own purposes. Often we don't even speak in the language of the people that we most want to attract. Know your audience. But our audience is changing. This upcoming fall, our audience is going to be dramatically different. And by the way, our audience already has been, for the last several years, already has dramatically different. Our audience that our alumni and the people who have come before us, the past officers, have tried to attract, select, and secure. That audience has been different. They've been changing dramatically with the influx of Generation Z students, with students coming to college with very different priorities and mindsets around money and around risk. That stuff has been changing, and now the world shakes again. And we walk into this upcoming fall semester with a group of incoming students that are going to be different. They're going to think differently. They're going to think about money very differently. They're going to think about gathering together in groups very differently. Listen, I don't know what this fall is going to look like. I don't know if we're going to be back on campus. I don't know if we're going to be living in our living rooms again, just doing school online. But I do know, no matter what, two things are true. Number one, fraternity and sorority will thrive. Brotherhood and sisterhood will endure. That is unquestionable and undebatable. Number two, this group of incoming students will require a different approach in the way that we market to them, in the way that we tell them our story, in the way that we try to attract, select, and secure them. And we have to start preparing now. I know you've got bigger things on your mind. I know you're still trying to figure out how to log into Zoom so you can take your class. I know this is hard. I know it's unfair. And I also know you're the ones who get that this is what it means to be a leader. Right now, we've got to make smart decisions and build good strategies so that we all can be successful in the fall. I want you to take a minute to walk in the footsteps, walk in the shoes of an incoming student coming to college this fall. I want you to think about what's changed for them. I'm certain you've thought about what's changed for you. I'm certain you've thought about the level to which you've missed out on a bunch of things that you were planning on because of all of this quarantining. Now put yourself in their shoes. Think about what they've missed out on. Think about the graduation that they probably don't get to go to. Think about the prom that they may not get to be a part of. Think about all those rituals at the end of a school year that allow us to in a way that has been proven over decades and centuries, that allow us to mourn and to disengage from our high school life. They don't get to do those rituals. What is that going to mean when they come in the fall? How are they going to be either more closely attached to their family at home or more closely attached to their group of friends from high school, or less? Think about this. I think there was a stat yesterday. I could be getting this wrong, but I think there was a stat yesterday that 3.3 million Americans filed for unemployment like this month. We're just starting. Their family members are going to lose their jobs or are going to be thinking about money in a very, very different way. We're getting months probably of practice of staying away from large groups of people. And then our default in fraternity and sorority is let's do everything in a big group where we all touch each other a lot. It'll be a challenge. Walk in the shoes of those students for a minute. Put yourself in their shoes right now. And I want you to imagine how their mindset and their perception of college, much less involvement in college, is changing. Think about how many more of those students might just take classes online. Think about how many more of those students won't go to the school they intended to go to because they want to stay closer to home. Or if they do go to the school they intended to go to, how they might have fear or connection to home that they want to stay close to. And so maybe they're not going to put in as much investment in the way that they choose to engage or get involved on campus. Walk in the shoes of those students with me for a moment. I want you to meet three people. These are three incoming students coming to school this upcoming fall. First person I want you to meet is Adrian. Adrian is graduating this semester from high school with honors. They're a first-generation college student, and their family's very, very proud of them. And Adrian has a whole lot of pride in being a first-generation student. Adrian was incredibly excited about college life. They were researching involvement opportunities. They were just pumped about what it meant to be a full college student. But one parent lost their job. And so Adrian's family is really worried about finances. In fact, they're already in the back of their mind thinking about going back home to community college because it feels like the responsible thing to do. That's Adrian. I'd also like you to meet Casey. Casey's a strong athlete, like really strong. Athletics was such a big part of Casey's identity and is. But Casey's favorite sport happened in the spring, and Casey missed the entire spring season. Casey's mourning the loss of prom, of friendship time, of graduation. Casey's homesick for their group of lifelong friends back home. And Casey sees Greek life as shallow in comparison to that group, that close group of students, close group of friends they had back in high school that went through so much together, including all of this. And lastly, I'd like you to meet Alex. Alex had big dreams about going to an out-of-state school. But Alex got concerned about safety and decided to stay close to home. They're not thrilled about this school yet, the school that they chose to go to, your school. And they're basically planning to just chill for a year and then probably just transfer back home or to a different school. I hope it's not too much to belabor this experience, putting yourself in the shoes of these incoming students. And perhaps these are extreme examples, but I don't really think so. I think these personality profiles that I just laid out for you, Adrian, Casey, and Alex, are probably real people that you're going to encounter one way or another when you come to school. And there are others as well. Put yourself in their shoes. Know your audience. All right. So let's dive a little deeper into the idea of knowing your audience. I want to share with you my favorite stuff. You've probably seen me share this before. If you've ever seen me deliver a conference program or a keynote at your university or a workshop someplace for your national organization, I love doing this. I love sharing this little nugget, non-Greek market research. So like, I don't know, 5 years ago when we really got serious as a company into doing high-level marketing work, one of the first things we did is we searched the internet and we Googled non-Greek market data. The industry has been around for like 200 years. So somebody must have asked non-Greek students, hey, what do you think of us? Nope, they didn't. None of that existed, which blew my mind. I mean, there were a couple studies just unique to specific campuses, and most of those were 10 plus years old. It blew my mind that nobody had done the basic work of asking non-Greek students, hey, what do you think of us? So we've been doing it. Over the course of the last 5 years, we have consistently executed this non-Greek market research. I want to share with you a little bit about what we've learned. I think you'll enjoy some of this stuff. The first thing we did is we asked non-Greek students, hey, what are some words that you think of when you think about fraternity and sorority? Now, this list is not terribly surprising to most of you. Most of it's pretty stereotypical or cliche. Take a look at the words, though. Nothing really surprises most of us. I mean, outside of the douche beta list, I don't get that one. But anyway, so we got this is the list, but this is kind of this has been done before, so this doesn't tell us much. Let's ask this question in a slightly better way. In your opinion, why do fraternities and sororities exist? We asked non-Greek students at big schools, small schools, private schools, public schools, schools from coast to coast, schools in the middle of the country, schools north and south. In your opinion, why do fraternities and sororities exist? Here were their answers from largest response to smallest response. I'll just read them to you. Friendship, parties, connections, fun, drinking, community service, continue a legacy, charity, ritual, sex, right after ritual, values, right after sex, academic support, school spirit, sports, and spirituality. There's a bunch of different ways I think you could analyze this particular piece of data, this chart right here. But I look at it really simply. Look at all the big responses. Look at everything with over a 40% response rate. Friendship, parties, connections, fun, drinking. Friendship, parties, connections, fun, drinking. I think in general, it's safe to say that most non-Greek students, when they think about fraternity and sorority, they basically think of us as drunk buddies. And here's the thing. I don't think that's that bad. I know maybe that's not what I'm supposed to say, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. First of all, they can say much worse things about us and be true some of the time. Second of all, I think most of these non-Greek students, maybe not most, but many of these non-Greek students also have drunk buddies. They just didn't have to pay for theirs. And therein lies the point. It is obvious to non-Greek students that we are fun. It is obvious to non-Greek students that we know how to have a good time. And yet, they don't find that valuable. They don't find that valuable. All right, let's dive deeper. Hey, non-Greek students, let's ask a really simple question. If you're not affiliated in a fraternity or sorority, what is your current level of interest in a fraternity or sorority? 43% of students surveyed said they had a higher neutral level of interest in joining an organization. That's a big deal. Here's why. The national average on college campuses where Greek life exists across North America, best math we can do is it looks like just under 10%, say they're or end up joining a fraternity or sorority. Let me say that again. Right around 10% of students on a college campus where fraternities and sororities exist end up joining a fraternity or sorority. But 43% have a higher neutral level of interest. Why aren't they joining? There's a really easy answer to that. 75% of them were never recruited or never approached about membership or never asked or nobody even suggested, hey, you should check out our website. Nobody even said, hey, there's an informational going on, or hey, take this flyer about this thing that we got going on over here. Nope, nobody even ever approached them. As it turns out, I think most non-Greek students don't hate us. They just don't know us. Let me drive that point home a little further. 50% of the non-Greek students we surveyed could name fewer or couldn't name more than 5 fraternity sorority members. They don't hate us. They just don't know us. Man, this is so important. All right, this is my favorite question to ask. We asked the question, hey, if there was an organization on campus that was about high moral development, human connection, leadership, and making a positive impact on the world, would you be interested in learning more? First of all, give some thought for a second. Is your organization, or do you believe fraternities and sororities are about high moral development, human connection, leadership, and making a positive impact on the world? That's kind of what we're about. When we asked a question that way, 91% of respondents, I don't know what's wrong with the other 9%, by the way, but 91% of respondents were like, yeah, tell me about that. I'll go to a thing and learn about that. I'll read the flyer. You got a brochure? They were interested. This is a big deal because 91% of people are interested in our organizations when we describe our organizations. But when we name our organizations, as soon as we put our name on it, we lose 50% of the audience. Remember, 43% said that they had a higher neutral level of interest in Greek life, in fraternity sorority. Literally, as soon as we put our name on it, we lose half our audience. So maybe shouting "Go Greek" isn't the best strategy for attracting the people that we most want to attract. Now, is this me saying don't wear your letters? No, please, no, no. Be proud of your organization. Share your colors. Be out there. Let the world know who you are and what you're affiliated with. I got no problem with that. Just don't think it's going to attract people who aren't already interested in fraternity and sorority, because it won't unless they have a personal interaction with you, unless you connect with them. All right. I think that's the end of my research. I hope this made a little bit of sense to you. I love sharing this stuff. I love sharing this non-Greek market research because it helps us understand our approach in a very different way. I obsess about those little statistics that I just went through. I feel like that makes us look entirely differently at the way that we do marketing, storytelling, and at the way that we attract, select, and secure people to our organizations. All right. I'm going to go now through some of my favorite little quotes about marketing. I thought this might be easy. You can take a little screenshot or take a picture of your screen and share these with some of your members that may not be tuning in today. Some of my favorite little quotes about marketing. First one: in the absence of compelling story, a story will be written for you, and you probably won't be the hero. This is maybe my favorite quote about marketing because I said it. Okay, in the absence of a compelling story, a story will be written, and you probably won't be the hero. See, here's the problem. In fraternity and sorority right now, there is no single, clear, compelling story. Does your community, does your chapter, does your council, do you believe that fraternity and sorority as a whole has a clear, compelling, positive, powerful story that we are telling the world about us? Or are we just saying words over and over that don't mean anything to anybody? Leadership, scholarship, service, brotherhood, sisterhood, philanthropy. Now, there's nothing wrong with those words, except that every other student organization on your campus offers at least one, if not multiple, of those deliverables. What are we? Do we have a clear narrative? Later on, maybe during the Q&A time, I might be able to share with you some sample narratives that we've helped build for communities and for even for chapters. And I want you to go into this fall having a clear, very specific narrative that you and every member of your community or your chapter or your council are trying to communicate over and over and over to the audiences that matter most to you. All right. Here's another one of my favorite marketing quotes. Your brand is not the story you tell about yourself, it's the story other people tell about you. Your brand is not the story you tell about yourself, it's the story other people tell about you. So here's the question: what's the story you want other people to tell about you? I don't know if this is going to work. And for the people watching on video, I mean, you can play along. It just may not make sense. But here's what I'd like everybody who's watching live right now to do. Again, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's give it a shot. I want you to text me. My number's on the screen. And here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to text me the one word that you hope people would use to describe your fraternity, your sorority, your council, or your community. Just text me that word. And as those are coming in, I'll read them out loud. This may be a terrible idea, but we'll find out. I'll read them out loud. And we'll find out what's the one word that matters most to you that you want people to communicate or to feel when they've interacted with one of your potential members or with one of your members, or when they come to one of your events, or when they see your marketing on social media, or what's the one word you're aiming at? I got some words coming in. United from Marietta College. That's cool. Leadership. Genuine. Caring is a word coming out of Wright State University. Inspired. Welcoming. I love it. Authentic. Nice. Powerful. Engaging. Deep. Brotherhood. Educated. Loyal. Welcoming. Encouraging. Listen to these words. Listen to the better. Love it. And people let me hope. True. Genuine out of Linfield College. Vulnerable. I got a Sammy saying vulnerable. I love it. Community. Engaged. Empowering out of Texas Tech. Another word is gentleman. Let's find out what this one is. Love out of Texas Women's University. I love it. Welcoming, encouraging, self-growth. What's up? Let's see, what's Mount Union have to say? Empowering out of Mount Union. Better. Man, I love it. I love it. I love it. Well-rounded out of Sonoma State. Man, we got people from all over the country right now. This is awesome. Open-minded out of Tarleton in Texas. What's up, Tarleton? University of Nebraska, Lincoln says relatable, belonging, bonded. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. I'm gonna stop reading them out loud, but you can keep sending them. I love these. Here's one of the reasons I do this. You may not remember anything else from this live digital training, but you'll remember that word. And you, as a leader of your chapter, community, or council, you can choose to tell a story that expresses that word over and over and over and over. In the absence of a compelling story, a story will be written for you and you won't be the hero. Write your story. You've got to decide on a story, though. You got to be about something. You can't, we can't be about a bunch of things. We can't be general organizations anymore. You know, there was a time when people talked about fraternity and sorority, they talked about, well, there's NPHC, there's MGC, and then there are general fraternities. What the hell is that? That is not okay. Like, we can't allow general to be a description of who we are anymore. Be about something. We have to be. Great marketing requires that you've got something great to market, and a general social organization or just a group of buddies is not that. Brotherhood and sisterhood is a beautiful thing, but people don't understand it. We've got to give them words that make sense in their language and communicate that to them. All right, let me give you another little quote. This builds on what I was just saying. This is Steve Jobs. And in 1997, there's this video of Steve in 1997. He was talking to all of his execs, all of his kind of high-level VP level leaders at Apple. And this is right as they were about to roll out the Think Different campaign, or one of their big marketing campaigns. And there's this cool video where he says, this is a very complicated world. It's a very noisy world. We're not going to get a chance to get people to remember much about us. That was 1997. You think that's a noisy world, Steve? Man, try 2020. And by the way, you're the reason it's so noisy, Steve. You invented the reason it's gotten a million billion times noisier. And now in this moment, when the whole world is talking about COVID-19 and the whole world is going to be afraid of a whole lot of things as they go into the fall, if you don't have a clear story to tell, you're not going to get a chance to get people to remember much about you. You got to pick a thing. Pick a thing and be about it. And tell that story. Share your narrative. Here's another quote. This is Seth Godin, one of my other favorite marketing gurus. He says, songs about romance don't tell you how to make out. They merely encourage it. Not the data people seek, it's the mood. One of the defaults that fraternity and sorority members have that doesn't serve us very well is that we try to logic people into joining our organizations. We try to bullet point them to death. We tell them all the stats we possibly can about our organizations. We raise this amount of money for philanthropy. This is our GPA compared to the GPA of other students on campus. Here's the amount of service hours we did. Like, we try and stat them and bullet point them to death, and it doesn't work. People don't join fraternities and sororities with their mind, their brain. They don't. They don't. Joining a fraternity or sorority is not. If you made a pro-con list about joining a fraternity or sorority and you came out on the pro side, you're probably really bad at making pro-con lists. This is a terrible idea. This is expensive. This is risky. There's all sorts of bad stuff that comes with it, but here we are. You know why we're here? Because of our heart, because we felt loved, because we felt like this was a place that made us feel like we mattered. We felt like we belonged here. We felt like we had purpose here. It's not a logical decision. You're not going to convince people. You will only inspire them. The currency of marketing, the currency of organizational growth, the currency of fraternity and sorority in our relationship with the outside world is trust and love. And the level to which we are able to deal effectively in those currencies is the level to which we are going to be successful in the way that we grow our organizations, no matter what's happening in the world around us. This is about making people feel a certain way. You know, when you sent me these words, you sent me all these words. Maybe you want people to think those words, but you also want people to feel those words. You know, words like belonging or bonded or well-rounded. These are words. Safe. That was a word somebody shared. Open-minded. Future. Man, future is a great example. Jake sent me the word future, and the word future, if that's the word you want people to feel and experience, that's about feeling inspired and hopeful about what may be and how fraternity or sorority might help me become that thing that I may be. Man, what a cool feeling to inspire in people. And ask yourself, does your website make people feel that? Does your social media feed make people feel that? Does the video you're producing right now to promote your organization make people feel that? Do the events and encounters and way that you text people make people feel that or not? And if they don't, they must. They simply must. Your brand is how people feel after they've interacted with you in some way. Let's see if I might have some more quotes here. Let's find out. Oh man, this is good. This is a practical one. Guy Kawasaki, his title used to be Chief Evangelist of Apple. He was basically the first marketing guy at Apple. And he said, if you have more money than brains, you should focus on outbound marketing. If you have more brains than money, you should focus on inbound marketing. All right, so outbound marketing is basically get our name out there. And I'd say the number 3 question I've gotten over 17 years of doing this work is fraternity and sorority members asking me, hey, do you have any ideas to get our name out there? And I always say, yes. I'm literally a marketing company. I have a degree in this stuff. I've got lots of ideas for you to get your name out there. I just don't think it'll help. I don't think shouting Go Greek is going to get you what you want. I think instead of getting your name out there, what you want is marketing efforts that result in the names and ideally contact information and maybe other information about potential members or prospective members. What you want is to get their names in here. Don't get your name out there, get their names in here. And by get their names in here, I mean literally have them write down their name, contact information, and fill out some information in some form, in some way, so that you have a chance to follow up with them, so that you have a chance to connect with them face to face. Because no matter what, you can't. Great marketing will never get people to join a fraternity or sorority. It'll just make it easier for brotherhood or for the feeling of brotherhood or sisterhood to happen between your members and potential members. Fraternity and sorority is a relationship business. People join face to face. And even if that face to face isn't in person, it'll be over the phone or on a video call. Like that stuff is never going to go away. This is such a personal, beautiful thing in our lives. Fraternity and sorority is intimate. People aren't going to join because they see this awesome post on Instagram or great sidewalk chalk for that matter, or great big letters that you carved out of plywood. They might be interested, or you might be able to engage with them because of those things. But the joining part happens because you got them to a face-to-face, real-life, human-to-human interaction. If you got more money than brains, focus on outbound marketing. If you got billions and billions of dollars, just plaster your letters everywhere, maybe that'll work. But if you're like 99.9% of fraternities and sororities, even the big dogs at the big schools, you've got to focus on inbound marketing, getting names onto your list so that you can build relationship with them. You can consistently bring them closer to you through relationship. Another little quote, reputation is earned through relationships. Now, if you want to be the type of organization who only attracts people to your group based on reputation, and you don't want to recruit, you don't want to actively go out and seek out people, and like that's fine. I got no problem with that. In fact, do it. That's great. Except understand this: the only way to build that reputation that you so desire is through relationships. And so, if you're doing marketing, make sure that it's inbound marketing that results in human-to-human connection. If everything that you do has to be about exemplifying this idea of being a networking organization, a leadership and networking organization that is on campus connecting with people, because it is only through those relationships you'll be able to effectively tell your story and you'll be able to effectively build trust and love. All right, we're about time for Q&A. But before I go there, let me say a couple things. First, next week and the week after, we are continuing Fired Up Fridays. April 3rd and April 10th, we're doing more Fired Up Friday events, more Fired Up Friday live sessions like this. You can learn all about them at blog.firedup.com/more Fridays. More Fridays is all one word. Check that out. You'll learn all about our schedule there. And let me say this, on the screen right now are my favorite marketing resources. If you're watching this as a recording, screenshot this or take a picture of it or whatever. If you're here live with me right now in the chat feature, I'm going to drop all those links all at once, just like that. Everybody's got a link to all of those resources right now. You're welcome to click, check them out, and then share them with people, share them with members of your chapter, share them with your advisor, share them with the professionals that work on your campus or vice versa. These are my favorite marketing related resources for fraternity and sorority. I hope you find them helpful. All right. I don't know if anybody's asked any questions yet, but just so you know, there's a Q&A feature in the tool here. So feel free to drop some questions about marketing, about growth, about anything that you want. Now's our Q&A time. We got plenty of time to answer some. I see some questions are starting to come in now. You can text me questions too, for that matter. I don't care. Like whatever works for you. I just want to be able to give you the time that you need to answer some of these questions. And the last thing I'll do is I'll put up on the screen right now my contact information. You already got my cell phone number. That's my real number, by the way. You were really texting me, and there they all are. So feel free to keep in touch with me that way, especially during this time. If you need help planning for the fall, or you got questions about how we can help you, or you just want to check in, or you just need some help, just let me know. That's what we do. We've got an entire company that is entirely built around helping fraternities and sororities grow. And so that's what I want to do with you. Feel free to follow us on Instagram at fire.up. That's not on the screen right now, but I think it's back here. So you can check us out there. You can follow me on Instagram as well, and you can email me, of course, anytime. Let's see if there are any questions. I'm just going to take a peek. Let's see if there are questions. Here we go. Oh, we got some good ones coming in. Let's find out what we got. What are the best ways to find or meet new people online while we aren't on campus? That's a great question. Man, I love that question. All right, here's what I want you to do. If you are following along right now, I want you to go, let me see, did I share this in the thing? I don't know if I did or not, but I want you to go to blog.firedup.com. And I think the third blog down is our digital recruitment blog. We created this massive resource after last week's Fired Up Fridays that had basically as many good, solid answers as we could give about how do we do recruitment digitally, starting as soon as possible. That blog post is going to give you a ton of information, including a link so that you can watch last week's digital recruitment session. I think it's called What If Recruitment is Canceled? Josh Arendi and Haley Mangrum delivered that. It was a fantastic hour-long webinar session. I think I would just recommend checking that out. Now, let me offer a couple of quick answers. In fact, I want to offer, maybe I'll take this opportunity. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop this so you can see my whole face. And I'm going to offer this opportunity to share my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 favorite marketing tactics that I'm prescribing most often to the campuses who bring us in to do digital, or excuse me, these are marketing strategies that we offer to campuses who have asked us to build a marketing strategy for them. We have the service that is kind of a marketing strategy and education experience where we actually work with the students, do focus groups, listen to non-Greek students on campus, and we build a marketing strategy for a community or for a council. So here are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top ideas. Write these down. Growth team, community scholarship, serve first events, tabling for results, social media, texting for something, and top 20 lunches, coffees, or meetings. I may not be able to get to all of these in detail. I'll try to give you a quick answer to these, and then you can email me if you want more details. First of all, growth team. I got a handful of communities that I'm working with right now to train and prepare a recruitment team or a growth team who is a group of 20, 25 students who have volunteered. These are often like recruitment counselor type folks, high-level leaders, students we can trust to show up and do the work. And we are preparing them right now to execute a specific tactical calendar where they are in charge of doing 2 things. This growth team, these like community level leaders, they're in charge of doing 2 things. The first thing they're in charge of doing is sharing the single compelling marketing narrative of that community as often as possible. Number 2, they're in charge of filling the funnel. They're in charge of executing tactics to get more people to indicate interest in fraternity and sorority. There's power in this strategy because we're asking a core group of students to certainly not do all of the work for our chapters, but to help supplement the work that chapters are doing to drive people into their joining process. And so I'm excited about this. I got probably 5 communities that I'm working on some variation of this idea with. And man, we've got good plans, good solid tactical plans in place that they can do digitally, and hopefully in the fall, they can do in person on site. Second one, community scholarship. There are a lot of organizations that do a quote unquote recruitment scholarship or just put out a scholarship for incoming students. And then every time an incoming student completes the scholarship form, we give them a little text or invite them to a one-on-one interview meeting so that we can learn more about them. This is this is like so much of recruitment happening right there in the process of doing a community scholarship. Tabling for results, man. I'm going to share this link. Excuse me, I'm choking. That's fun on a live broadcast. I'm going to share this link in the chat feature right now. It is blog.firedup.com/tabling. I love this link. This is the best ways to do tabling. The ways you're doing tabling right now on campus probably aren't the best ways. This will show you there's literally a video to show you how one community did tabling to the extent that they got 10 times the results than the chapters who were doing tabling in traditional ways on that campus. So take a look at that. Thanks, Mel, for the comment in the chat feature. Protect Matt Mattson. I appreciate that. The cough is nothing, you guys. I got a dry throat. Everybody's going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine. All right. So let me give another one real quick. Social media. All right. So first of all, on social media, if you are not already as a chapter or even as a council following on Instagram students who are a part of a hashtag class of 2024 or whatever the year is group, follow those students. The moment they follow you back, you DM them, and not with a canned robotic DM, but with a message that says, "Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a real person. No to follow back. I want to ask you a question. I'm a student at this university. I know that you might be a student at this university. Could we set up 20 minutes to talk sometime soon?" In that big resource on digital recruitment, you'll actually see a script for a text or a DM that you could send in that situation. Paid social media ads, if you're not already preparing paid social media ads that are inbound ads that get people to indicate interest in your fraternity or sorority for this upcoming fall, you're behind the ball. We've got to get on that right now. That is our primary arm into the world of incoming students right now. And it may be our only arm into the world of incoming students for a while, especially as orientations for you universities are going online this summer. We're going to have to find ways to work around it. Paid ads and follow back DM strategy is a good place to start. I've been teaching people to get yard signs printed or get a billboard or buy bus ads. By the way, outdoor advertising is a lot cheaper than you think it is. And have all of those ads not be "Go Greek" and "Fraternity and Sorority is awesome." Not try to impress people, but instead try to connect with people. So maybe it's a text in campaign, or it's a text us to be entered into, or text us your answers to these questions, or text us your opinion about this. And the moment that they text in, we then engage with them. This creates opportunities for engagement. So this sort of text in campaign becomes a pretty popular marketing strategy that campuses are using right now. Top 20 lunches, coffees, or meetings. That was the last one that I said I would give you a kind of quick tactical thing. I need you to make your list right now. Who are the top 20 most influential people on campus? If you built trust, connection with them, and you shared your story about what fraternity and sorority is to you, they would be an asset as opposed to an obstacle. Most people can make that list pretty quickly. These are often student organization leaders or student government leaders, RAs, orientation leaders, student type folks. Sometimes it's administrators or deans of certain departments or other student affairs staff members that maybe you're not connected to as closely. Maybe they run leadership programs or service programs or student activities groups. These are the people that you need to, certainly in the fall, set up lunches with and coffees with so you can spend real time with them building that trust. But even now, a generous, thoughtful outreach via email or text message or phone could go a long way to building some of that trust. Cool. Let's see if there are other questions. What do you think are the biggest challenges in Greek life marketing in this digital age of Instagram? Noise is the biggest answer. It's a really noisy world. And our members are we're so conditioned to doing the easiest thing. And the easiest thing for us is just, well, we've got 100 followers, so let's just keep posting stuff to those 100 followers. As it turns out, social media requires you to be a social person, which means it requires you to socially engage with people who aren't already in your network, people who aren't already following you. I think I said two obstacles there, the two of the biggest challenges. Number one is noise. There's a lot of noise all around you. And it's not about you. It's about 1,000 other things that are just drawing people's attention elsewhere, drawing people's attention to things that offer value in their lives. And a lot of potential members and their parents don't see that Fraternities and Sororities offers value to their lives. They just see that Fraternities and Sororities is for drunk buddies, right? And then the other thing is, I guess, apathy or laziness. I don't, like, that's not me being mean. That's just maybe naming a truth, and that is that we don't recognize that we've got to do work to build our follower pool. Getting people to follow you on social media, on Instagram or anywhere, on YouTube, anywhere else, requires work. It's not just like put out cool content and sit back and wait. That's not how it works. You've got to build those relationships. You got to reach out to the people who influence. And I don't just mean like Instagram influencer. I mean like people who have influence over others who might. And then you also have to add value. Is your social media marketing or any marketing that you're doing serving other people first? I think I skipped that one. I said serve first events. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. We've got this sort of staple thing in fraternity and sorority life that is the all Greek barbecue. Who do you think the all Greek barbecue is for? All Greeks. And that's who only shows up. And we shouldn't be surprised because we literally named it the all Greek barbecue. Instead, how can we do things that are about serving people? How can we make it for them? Is your social media for you or is it for somebody else? What would they want to read? What are you doing a series on your social media right now that is about how to be involved in college, even though the world is falling apart around you? You know, the top 30 ways that you can get involved in college. 5 of them are your organization. There's another. How would you recommend we engage parents in the conversation of supporting their son or daughter joining in on the recruitment process? Boy, I love this question. Thanks, Robert, for the question. First of all, we know that over the course of the last 10 years, parents have had a significantly increasing level of influence over whether or not students join fraternities and sororities. That is both a financial influence as well as just an emotional influence. You know, when I was in college, I didn't ask my parents before I joined. I called my mom after, and she was like, "What?" Who could blame her? So I think the first thing we have to understand is that has been a big need. And going into fall 2020, man, that need just got exacerbated by 1,000 times. Do you have a website, a part of your website that is specifically speaking to parents, maybe even other parents speaking to parents? Is there clear information telling telling parents who might be whose students might be interested in fraternity and sorority life? Do you have a coaching sheet that your parents can use to help their students avoid bad chapters and avoid risky situations? Parents, just like students, just like me, just like you, we don't know how to have these conversations because we've never done it before, right? And so these parents, especially parents of first-time students or first-generation students, they don't know what to say or how to coach them. They're just going to base their advice on emotions unless we give them good information. We have to aim a significant portion of our communication as communities, especially directly at parents. What can council executive boards do to support their communities and chapters in thinking about recruitment and P&Ms for fall 2020? I love this question. First thing, I want you to go rewind to the part where I was talking about growth teams. That might be the most practical recommendation I can offer you. Also understand this: as a council, as an executive board, you're the ones elected to decide what is the story we will be telling this semester. Who are the people we need to build trust with, and we need to build trust with them. And how can we drive leads to our chapters so that they have a chance to do the recruiting? I don't think councils should ever recruit. I think councils should make it a lot easier for chapters to recruit or for chapters to attract, select, and secure people for their organization. Councils are in charge of rolling out the red carpet and making it easier for prospective members to walk up to our front door. Chapters take over at the front door. But we've got to actively roll out multiple red carpets into multiple new channels in our community. Think about it this way. If you spent $0, I mean, even this year, if we put our head in the sand, spent $0 and spent 0 minutes actually preparing to get people to show interest in fraternity and sorority this fall, there's still going to be some people who show up and show interest in fraternity and sorority. We spend most of our time and our money and our energy trying to get the people who are already interested to be more interested. We shouldn't. We should aim at the people who aren't yet interested. I wish we were all sitting in a room together right now, because if we were, I'd say, raise your hand if before you came to college, you were never going to join a fraternity and sorority. Me and 80% of this audience would be raising their hand right now. We've got to aim our marketing at who we were, not at the people who are already showing up saying that they want to join. I'm going to do one more question. I know we don't have a lot of time. You can email me. Matt@firedup.com. Matt@firedup.com is where you can email me more questions. I think I got some leftover questions from last week I haven't yet gotten to, but I will. I'm going to answer these questions. You can feel free to email us or text us. Last question. Let's see. What are some marketing strategies we can practice virtually other than social media posts, specifically to attract P&Ms and keep our members engaged in fraternity and sorority life during this time? Here's an idea. Hold a webinar on how to be a student leader. And you're going to hold that. You're going to hold that once a month between now and when school starts. Hold another webinar on things I was scared about when I was a freshman, and I might be able to give you advice on. Man, now we're all sitting at home with Zoom on our computer. Like, you now own a TV station, and if you can get students to tune into that TV station digitally, you become their one person that they recognize and that they trust when they show up at college. There's one idea. I'm guessing we could come up with lots and lots of other ideas. Again, I want to point you to that blog on digital recruitment. That's got so many more ideas that are built into it that are around marketing and specific tactics to attract, select, and secure more people to our organizations. Listen, as we go into this fall, it's going to be different. It is going to be different. And we absolutely cannot depend on the old ways that barely worked to begin with to get us through this difficult time. This is our moment to create, and you are the creators. You are the ones who are ready for this. You are the leaders who show up. You are the ones who understand this is when leadership matters most. And I trust you, and I'm grateful for you. If you're a student, a volunteer, a professional, or just like somebody else tuning in to watch this, if you're helping fraternity and sorority thrive into the future, just know that I'm deeply, deeply grateful for you. And all of us at Fired Up and Technify are. Thanks for joining. Stay fired up, everybody.